show you all my presentation before I get going. Let's talk about how to use your short-term rentals to earn your annual income in 8 months. So this is live. This is the 11th. I'm worried about my UPS person coming and knocking on my door, but we'll make it through that, okay? All right, my name is Al Williamson. I'm with leadinglandlord.com. And this is my official welcome. I like, at my block parties, we hand out homemade ice cream sandwiches. So consider that. Oh, I got my first question. This is good. Let's see. Al, this is Dean. The computer audio is muted, so I cannot speak. Okay. There's a little delay, so I'll get to you guys. And I will unmute. I'm going to do my best to unmute everything. But thank you. I appreciate that. And I'll be checking with you guys off and on so we can see how things are going. Okay. Welcome. Get my clicker going here. Oh, you know something? When I switch over, I have to go back and manually click. I think I have to click on my screen. There we go. There we go. I'm getting it now. All right. Here's the agenda. You're about to discover why landlords aren't making the passive income they hope for. This is a dirty, dirty, dirty little secret, and we'll get more into it. But essentially, if you have that 80% loan to value that you go to the bank to get, then that cash flow that you get after you pay your expenses, you really need to save all of that. Especially if you're a buy and hold landlord, you need to save all of that just to maintain your property. There's not much you can spend, so you can get 1,000 rentals, but you're not going to do what you think you're going to do. But we'll get into that. Okay, how to shorten your path to financial freedom. I'm not going to leave you hanging. I'm going to share with you a way to bring in twice as much so that you have some money to spend, and how you can turn your rental into a highly profitable global powerhouse. Now, does that sound like what you guys want? Someone raise their hand. Let me know. Let me know if you're up for that. All right. Let's see what this person said. Thank you. Raising your hand. All right. Now we got a couple ones. That's good. We're in the right spot. All right. Okay, let's move forward. And I'll click my screen so I can go. All right. So this whole presentation might be for you if you want to accelerate your cash flow. And that's really the framework that you need to have in your mind. You don't need to be thinking about vacancies in this mode of operation your rental. You think about how fast you can get your annual income back. How fast you can make the annual, and then you're going to, in this case, you're going to have 4 months to make more money. And what would you do with that extra 4 months of money, of income? That's that's going to really affect your lifestyle, and it really will. And this might be for you if you own rentals that you want to be proud of, well-maintained rentals, not where you want to actually show people and show off. Not the things that you're embarrassed to have, because all the deferred maintenance that you can't afford to take care of. And this might be for you if you aren't afraid of the internet. In fact, if you like the internet and how it helps us all connect together, then you like short-term rentals. Now, this is not for you if you're only concerned with preserving your wealth preservation. Real estate is wonderful for preserving your wealth. So if you have a big chunk of money and you put it down on some land or some Class A property, you can. It's a good chance it's going to be there in 5 years. And this may not be for you if you aren't known for your hospitality. If you don't really care for people or dealing with people, you might as well sign off. And if you don't routinely like to check your smartphone, I'm not talking all the time, but you got to check it on your smartphone so you stay connected, so you can be responsive to questions and different things like that. Now, if you stick around to the very end, I'm going to give you this audio series I put together. It's called The Top 10 Ways to Reduce Rental Expenses. And this is a collection of best practices that I've used and many others have used. And it really saves me $5,000 to $6,000 per year after year. These different strategies do. So it's a very valuable resource, and I'm going to give it to you if you stick around to the end. I'll tell you when to take a screenshot, and I'll email you a link to how to access it. Okay? Fair enough? All right. I only got about an hour presentation, and then we can go questions and answers as long as you like. All right. This is a good time to put your phone in airplane mode, because there's some subtle things I want you to catch. I'm trying, hopefully you won't be distracted. And the whole webinar, GoToWebinar, works better if you don't have multiple browsers open. So if you just keep this browser open, everything should be moving smoothly for you. Who is Al Williamson? That's me in the middle. You can see I'm surrounded by beautiful women, my daughters and my wife. I've been landlord for over 20 years, and I sold off some things so I could become debt-free and kind of transition into what I'm doing now, which is full-time investing and investigating best practices. Oops, I didn't mean to move forward. I'm a civil engineer, and I'm a community advocate. I believe landlords should be a blessing to their communities, not a hindrance. And I love finding ways to make additional income streams besides just asking tenants for rent and raising rents. There's a whole world of ways to make additional income. So I've been featured on a number of shows and conferences, and wow, this is getting away from me. And usually about some type of innovation that I stumbled across or a philosophy I have regarding landlording, because that whole industry, our landlording industry, really needs to be updated. Okay, so this is my experimental apartment building that I talked about. Bought it in 2002. It was where the gang members and the prostitutes were hanging out. You can see that on the left. After this, on the left is after I took away all the condoms and the beer cans. The first time you could really see the building, cleaned up off the graffiti. And I've been upgrading and doing capital improvements to the place ever since. So the right side is pretty much, after I just planted the landscaping, it's all grown in now. You can see I used a 30, 60, 90 triangle, some clever design, zero-scape design. So it's still looking really good. So that was before. Those windows upstairs, people were pouring something out of the windows when I first saw the place. It looked like some grease, and it was splattered all down below. It was pretty disgusting. My wife was pregnant at the time. She was kind of scared to come into the gate, so I had some friends escort me in when I first took over. It was quite an adventure. Again, this is after I cleaned up the place. And this is kind of what it looks like now. The landscaping is more grown in now. But before it was drug dealers, and now people staying there are doctors, a lot of doctors and nurses. So we're still administering drugs, but we're legal helpful drugs now. Now, I did a lot of work in this place since 2002, transitioning the neighborhood and getting my apartment together. Then 2008 happened, and Sacramento, California, where we live, was in a free fall. I was laid off, my nonprofit job I was working at the time. My tenants were all getting laid off, or they were underemployed at the time. So they were struggling to make rent. So we all were struggling together. And that's where it hit me. I got to figure this out. I can't run a business solely on tenant rents. It just wasn't working. I had to find a way to get my property up and going so that it could be solvent again. And um, I just wasn't going to give it back to the bank. This was a property that I put a lot of sweat equity into, picking up trash and working with the neighbors in the neighborhood to get the neighborhood to turn around. I just couldn't walk away from this. So that's what created the freak that I am about profit and finding other ways besides looking towards tenants to pay for your place. So I started in 2008. I was under a lot of pressure because I was out of work, and but the thing about me is somehow, that's my superpowers. When I put myself under pressure or when I'm in a clutch situation, I come through. That's my greatest strength, is coming through with a clever idea under pressure. So that's what happened for us. I started. You guys know what a hot rod is? Is everyone old enough to know what a hot rod is? My daughter thought I was a hot piece of metal. She's 6. So, but to create a hot rod, you start with a standard car off the factory, and then you start bolting these different things onto it to increase its performance, to make it go faster. So I applied that same philosophy to my rental. I started collecting things and ideas from different industries, and I would bolt them on to my rental, find some way to incorporate those ideas. And I ended up with a collection of things that allowed me to pay my mortgage without using my tenants' rents. Or I was able to generate $1,800 more than my, on top of my income. So I could use that $1,800 to pay my $1,650 mortgage. So I accomplished that in 2015. It was it's like landing on the moon because I had been working on that project for so long. But that really allowed me to do the aftermath, to look back at what it was what was the 20% of things I was doing that was giving me the 80% worth of return. So I could focus. I just wanted to focus on that 20% because that was giving me the best returns. So I was able to do that after accomplishing the goal. And one of the things that did it that I realized was when I shifted into doing short-term rentals. That is when I started upgrading the neediness or the clientele, so that's when I had opportunities to offer laundry services and different things like that I couldn't do to a standard rental. Standard rentals don't need maid service, so they don't need to rent furniture from you either typically, because if they're going to be there for a long time, they go by their own. So getting these people that were coming to town for sort of in an extended stay type of setup, that was allowing me to build all this side income and ancillary income. So I decided to focus on that. That's how I was able to bring my cash flow faster. That's how I was able to make my 12 months of annual rental income in just 8 months and have the other 4 months to make additional profit. And that's how you can too. My clients all over the United States are doing this as well, and I'll share that with you. Anyway, the collection of ideas that I considered, I didn't use them all, but I collected them and I wanted to categorize them. I put them in this book called 40 Ways to Increase the Net Income of Your Rental Property. It's still a reference book that I look to get me thinking creative, because I find, even though I wrote it, I still find myself thinking in one category, whereas your rental, to be really creative, you need to think about all the different things that rental property can do, and monetize all of its assets. Hey, so let's get into the content. That's enough about my background. Let's start with the tale of two landlords. They're the landlords that bought identical properties right next to each other. And these guys were friends, so they were always comparing notes. And during the course of the year, the fence blew down between them, so that was an expense. And their shower valves corroded to the point where they had to get a plumber and have a replacement. So that was a big expense, and the city hit them up for sidewalk repairs. So that's another expense. So everything's identical. All these expenses are identical, but one of them makes $0 at the end of the year, and the other one makes $3,000. So what caused this? You know what made the difference between the two? Well, one of them was working in the traditional, highly competitive long-term rental market, where your rents are really set by the landlord down the street. And the other one was working in the new decentralized extended stay markets. So years ago, there wasn't even such a thing as extended stays, but there is now. There's extended stay hotels now, and they're usually by a freeway off-ramp or by a Denny's somewhere. But it's an opportunity for you to create an extended stay with your rental, and you're decentralized. You're not clustered around. We got a fire truck going by. This is live. I can't edit that out. But being decentralized means that you're embedded in a neighborhood, and it's a much cozier feel. And people like extended stays because they usually come with ovens and stoves. They can cook their own food, and they can opt out of the cleaning service, so they don't have someone invading their privacy every day to make their bed or go through their things. So extended stays are very popular now. So one of them was in the long-term market where the profits are capped, and the other one was competing against hotels, which your profit margin is much higher. It's at least twice as high in the hotel market. So that's what caused the difference. And that could be your future as well. That's something that I've ventured into. And the way it looks now is, not that I'm not bragging, I'm just trying to describe what's going on for me. Is my account balances keep going up, even though I still have maintenance things going on. I'm still taking care of my property. I volunteered to do a full window replacement because I have the money now, and it's so I'll be sending you guys pictures of that. But yeah, that's not a problem to do things now because my account keeps going up, and in fact my rentals allow me to buy rentals now, so they pay for the down payment of other rentals, and that's the way it can be for you too. It's this mode of operating with short-term rentals allows me. I'm kind of a cheapskate at heart, but allows me to have stress-free meals out with my family, and that's very enjoyable. My wife greatly appreciates that as well, taking them to a nice dinner and all of us sitting down and kind of catching up without anyone worrying about the dishes and things like that. It's just a nice time. As well as vacations, we take a lot more weekend vacations, and that could be the same for you. And I hope it is the same if you decide to change how you operate in your rental. This mode of operation I'm talking about, and I'll get into the details in a little bit, it takes less time because I'm able to hire things out. I even have a guy who just grooms my property, just picks up, makes sure there's no weeds in the cracks, and he goes up and down the street as well because I like to maintain my entire street. So I have a groomer, and it takes away that having to check on my property every week like I was in the habit of doing. So I'm more of a hands-free landlord now. Let's get into, let me take a sip of water here. There's a guy named M.J. DeMarco who wrote Millionaire Fastlane, great book. He has this equation. He says more value plus more money equals more money. He says that those things that we can change. You can add more value to whatever you're doing, businesses, your rental property, and you can serve more people. And by doing that, you can make more money. Let's dive into this. This is really important. More value to your rental properties. One thing you can do easily is add Wi-Fi to it, and that increases the value of the perceived value for your tenants. And you can add furnishings, and that's going to also increase how much you could charge. Adding a TV, flat screen TV, that adds more value, and you can charge more. Things like that. You guys know how to do that already. The more people part might be something we can talk about a little bit more. Have you noticed, ever stay at a restaurant, have a long conversation, and get the stink eye? You know, they kind of want you to leave because they want to place more people there, especially if it's a busy night. It's because if for the same table, if they can get 3 or 4 rotations of people coming and going from that table, out of all their tables, they can make 3 or 4 times more money every time they change out the clients at that table. It's another profit center for them. So they can make, by changing multiple times out in the same period of time, they can make more money. Same thing with your rental property. If you have one tenant there for a whole year, well, that's how much you're going to make. But if you can get 2 there, you can make a lot more money. And if you can get 4 there and doing rent increases or doing different things, you can make even more money. So that's how it goes. You want to see, there's a sweet spot, of course, but that's the concept. You want to serve more than one person per year, just like a restaurant wants to serve more than one person all night per table. Now, how do you get to those people? Well, let's take a look at MJ Marriott. They were established in the 50s, and right now, 2017, they have 1.1 million rooms under management. They're the largest hotel chain on earth, corporate-wise. And they're in 101 countries, excuse me. Then along in 2008 came Airbnb, and they have 1.5 million rooms under management per night. And they are in 191 countries, so they have more penetration and they have more business activity per night than the Marriott. So it is a huge phenomenon, and it causes the lobbyists of the hotel industry a lot of angst. So this is the problem. These young punks came along and surpassed the biggest corporation, brick and mortar hotel chain on the planet. So they weren't happy about that, but Airbnb is sure happy about that. And you can connect with Airbnb for absolutely free. There's no barrier of entry for you to connect with them and get that type of marketing power for your rental. So you can have more people, but let's be a little more precise. You don't want just anyone. You want what I call distressed people. Now, most of you know what a distressed seller is. Someone who's got under a divorce or some type of stressful situation, they got to get rid of their property fast, and most likely you can find a discount from them, and that means money to you as a buyer. Or a distressed property that has all kinds of deferred maintenance that needs to be done, or a clouded title because some code violations and if you're willing to fix it and you know how to fix them, then again, that's another way to build your wealth. Same thing with people. There's people who don't want to stay in a hotel. Either they can't afford it, they're looking for something cheaper, or they want a higher quality of experience, being able to cook for themselves or enjoy the people of the neighborhood and just feel like they're at home. So these people who don't want to stay at a hotel and don't want to buy a buy furniture for a year's worth of lodging, they're in a spot. Oh, I got a question. Let me take that. Hang on a second here. It comes from Dean. Distressed people who rented an Airbnb and got into a fight, which ended up in a gunfight. Wow, that is distressed. That is really distressed. I haven't heard that story. Let me get back here. But that would be distressed. So there's a lot of people. Let's see if I can go back. Yeah. There are a lot of people staying at Airbnbs per night, and I'd say that something's going to go wrong somewhere. Just like there's all kinds of fights and gunfire at regular hotels and motels in every state, in every city. Same thing. Same thing. Oops, I got another question. Let's see what this is about. Oh, it happened in Chicago. New Year's Eve. Okay. Hey, I'm going to take some of these at the end. Let me keep moving here. Thanks for interacting with me, though. Okay. So if you're pursuing your financial freedom, the cash flow is definitely important to you. So this is one easy mechanism to increase your cash flow. I studied a lot of them, and I tried a lot of different things. This is by far the easiest way. Uh-oh, I got to click on my screen here. All right. Now, if you're a multifamily owner, there's no reason to rent all your apartments the same way. I definitely recommend that one of them is short-term, and that's going to allow you to double your income for that unit, and also discover a whole bunch of things, a whole bunch of opportunities. And the trend is pretty strong now. Cities have to regulate this phenomenon, and it's set up just for us landlords now. So it's something we should definitely consider. The Hilton didn't consider that. In 2012, they thought that this was a fad. It's gonna a fad that would go away. And in 2008, the Airbnb surpassed the Hilton. Okay, let's get into the 3 secrets that I promised you guys. 3 secrets that you really need to know about short-term rental business. Secret number 1 is that you can operate a housing vending machine. Secret number 2 is that you can easily double your net income without much effort. And secret number 3 is it's really not can I rent something out? It's really how much can I rent per night? How much can I get for it? Let's go into this. Secret number 1, you can operate a housing vending machine. Everyone knows what a vending machine is. You walk up to the machine, you give it your money, and you press a button, and it gives you what you want, and you go away happy. And the owner wasn't involved with that, or shouldn't have been involved with it, unless it malfunctioned. So a housing vending machine is exactly the same. You can use one of these short-term rental platforms, Airbnb, VRBO, and many, many others, about 40 others now, to accept the money and take care of the booking. And the guests can come up upon arrival. They can let themselves in, just like realtors have been doing for centuries, not centuries. Ever since they came up with lock boxes, they've been letting themselves in. So there's a number of different ways to arrange for that, but you should not be there to let your guests in. You shouldn't do that. You gotta put a system in place. And the guest stays. There should be guest manuals and everything labeled, and so that they know what to do easily. And there should be instructions on how to check out. So they should know where everything is when they stay there. You should have directions for that and directions for checkout. And then as they check themselves out, your cleaners come in and they freshen up, do laundry, and get the place set up and stocked up again. So that's essentially the components for a housing vending machine. all very doable. Um, can everyone do that? Show me a hand. Show me hands if you can do those things. If you can, all right, there's some hands. Good, good. Thank you. Okay, let's go on. Secret number 2. Oops. Oh, this is the part where I'm going to tell you about my vending machine and how I came to where I am. I start off with my 2-bed, 1-bath unit that was renting for $850. So the blue dot represents the gross, and the red dot represents the net. Since I didn't have to pay utilities for this unit, I wasn't paying for the gas they consume, the electric that they consume. What they gave me, that $850, is really essentially all things in common, all things the same. It's going to be the net. Now, when I did short-term rentals, I tried to house 3 people, 3 groups in 1 month, and I made a lot more money, but my expenses were higher. So my net is not as high as my gross, of course. And operating in that mode, you have to pay city taxes for lodging fees in Sacramento, at least. You've got to pay the lodging fees just like you pay hotel tax. And your cleaners are costing my cleaners about $100 to turn the place over. And the hassle, there is a hassle when you have 3 people coming to your unit per month. It's always kind of wearing on your nerves. So that's why my x-axis, my horizontal axis, is the hassle factor. It also represents the number of stays per month, okay? Because you're always on call. Now compare that to monthly rentals where I was making $1,600. That's how much I charge per month. And at the end of the month, I only have to do 1 cleaning. And if I stay over 30 days, then I don't have to pay city taxes. I don't need additional complimentary insurance, number of things. So when I did that, I realized that, hey, that's about the same amount of profit as doing 3 nights or doing 3 stays a month. But it's a whole lot less hassle. So I like this 1 stay. So I started focusing on just monthly rentals. That's how I got to my point of just focusing on nightly rentals. It's quite a bit more profitable than a traditional landlord, that $850. But it was a whole lot less hassle, mostly because I didn't have to clean but once a month. Then I started realizing that traveling nurses were inquiring about my place, and they stay for 3 months at a time, which means I only need to clean every 3 months. So essentially my biggest expense, my maid service, was cut in thirds. So because of that, each month I'm more profitable. So that's what this shows. I have a whole lot less hassle because they're staying 3 months. My expenses are low. I get to avoid all of my city regulations. And it's very relaxed with a really high quality tenant that I enjoy working with nurses. In fact, I married one, my wife, 20 years. So that's how I came to where I am, that you want to do monthly rentals. There's a sweet spot for us landlords. And if you can do 2 and 3 months at a time, that's great. It's kind of like Goldilocks scenario where annuals are just too long, and 3 and 4 times a month, different stays, is just a little bit too short. So monthlies are just right. Hey, this is one of my clients, students, Jay. He's 33 years old now. He came to me with this problem with Airbnb a few years ago, and he has a 4-plex that's just a few miles away from the BART station in the Bay Area, and BART is a subway system. And at the time, I was sharing with him one of my experiments of adding bicycles to my rentals so that people could get around. And he added a couple bikes to his rentals, his Airbnb. At the time, he was doing Airbnb. And that added about $500 more a month to his booking, some simple bicycles. In fact, that made all the difference by him addressing that transportation need. Jay says, when he first heard me talking about making 3x the profit with furnished rentals, he thought I was a little out there, and and he feels he would have made $100,000 more and retired sooner, 1 year or 2 years earlier, if he would listen to me. He's now 33. He has about 20 of these short-term rentals, and he just travels the world now. He just left his corporate job altogether, and he has all of his systems in place. He's a great guy. I'm happy for him. A little jealous, but that's where he is. It's definitely possible. It's a very lucrative business. Secret number 2, let's dive into this. You can easily double your net income. Ooh, I'm missing an R. I gotta fix that. Let me tell you about Peggy and Bud. I met them in Mexico. I was giving a speech. And they are established landlords, about 30 rentals, but yet they have this one hell house. This little cute little cottage, but it's just the way it's laid out. People don't like to stay for more than a year. They just don't renew their lease. And they're in the traditional landlord problem where people move out and they have to do a remodel to get it ready for the next person. And there goes all your profits, or all your cash flow, quote unquote cash flow. So really, yes, you are paying down your loan. So you are building up equity, but you're just not building up your cash flow because you're using it all the time. If you don't have it and you need it, you got to go for a loan, and that takes away from your wealth. So traditional landlording is just not a great cash flow business. It's a wonderful wealth building tool, but it's not a cash flow tool, traditional landlording. So after talking with me, they were excited. They got my course, and I started coaching them. They actually invited their tenants to leave early because they felt they were going to leave anyway. So they invited them to leave early. They did a beautiful job furnishing their place, and they are booked right away. And these guys are booked so much because they're just outside of Dayton, Ohio, which is a high crime area, and they're in a little suburb, and people perceive them as being safer neighborhood. So people have to do business in Dayton, but they don't want to live in Dayton or be in a hotel in Dayton. So they are just doing fabulous. She sent me an email early this month. We're chatting back and forth. She says, my Airbnb has turned a trouble rental into a fun and profitable, reliable business, is what she's saying. She says they're coming up on their 1-year anniversary, and they're thinking about buying another place just for Airbnb. She's always telling people about me. I thank you, Peggy, for that. And down below, she says the house is wildly successful, and we may open another one. She's a super host, which is the highest designation for Airbnb hosts. And Airbnb likes to feature her first because they know people have a great experience with her. So she had a $250 return, and same with Chad. Chad met him in Oklahoma, and we went through the process of getting started and then getting into transitioning into month-to-month rentals, and he ended up housing some professional baseball players and their families, which are business travelers. And I always recommend you go after business travelers. So they are up for their regular house in a regular neighborhood up 250%. In fact, I heard from him earlier this month that professional baseball player got recalled, so they ended up having to leave early, which gives him the ability to rent out his place again. Now, as a landlord, you couldn't do that. Landlords, you typically can't double rent your place or collect rent on something that's already been rented, but in the hotel industry, you sure can. It's a different industry altogether. This is Esther. She, same thing. She got involved. She had a condo. She transitioned it onto short-term rentals at Airbnb, got some reviews, and then she's housing traveling nurses. So she is up 300%. and loving it. They're very happy about that. So it's very doable. I could keep telling you stories about that, but I think I made my point. It's easily done. Oops. Let me tell you about, I'm squeezing in a secret here. Rental arbitrage. I'll be telling you guys more about later. Essentially, this business model of short-term rentals is so powerful that and landlords leave so much money on the table that someone who's just willing to just rent their place from them and then furnish it and rent it out as a short-term rental can capture that margin, can make money just doing that. That's what Angelo does and his partner, business partner. They're in Silicon Valley, and they see some traditional landlords who don't want to change, don't want to innovate, and they rent their places from them, and then they use their corporate housing model to house traveling nurses again. So these guys, they invested $5,000 in furnishings and things, and they get back $1,000 a month. So they break even in 5 months, and then the rest of the year is just cash flowing for them. And there's just no way to match those type of returns. Turnkey properties, out-of-state investing, there's just no way. Rental arbitrage and using these strategies is definitely a huge cash flow. Is anyone interested in that business model? Show me your hands. Yeah. It's a huge. He calculated it was 20 times more profitable than him investing in Tennessee. So, oh, I got a question. Let's see what it is here. Okay, Dean, yes. Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm in the process of doing that right now. I got a couple of rental arbitrages. I'll share with you guys the details of that, of my experiments and things, because cap rates in Sacramento for apartments, which I like to do, are in the high threes, 3.9, 4. It just doesn't make any sense. So I'm going to wait for the market to cool down and do some rental arbitrages in the meantime. In fact, with such a low downside, there's really no downside. And what I like about it is you don't have to deal with the maintenance, which costs landlords so much. Angelo, if there's a leak, he calls his landlord, they fix it. His cash flow keeps going, so it's very nice. Very nice indeed. Okay, let me click on here. Click back on here. Keep moving. Okay, secret number 3 is not can I rent it, my place, your rental that I'm talking about, but how much can you get for it? It really is about pricing. And here's there's 3 things you can do to make sure that your whatever rental you have now, even if you are in a hood, even if you are in a Class C neighborhood, you can find a way to use these short-term platforms. You have to do the most appropriate thing for that neighborhood, but with the same framework works, you can at minimum double your profits and give yourself some breathing room so that you can maintain your property and put some money in your pocket. Okay? Let me click off this hand here before I get into that. Okay, let me shrink this back down. Sorry guys, I'm still learning. Okay, here's 3 levers you can pull to make sure your property is rentable on a short-term, month-to-month basis. Is you can address the safety of the neighborhood and the safety of your property. That's a whole other conversation we can have. That's really digs into my first part of transitioning my neighborhood from a war zone into a place where doctors want to live. So you start off by keeping the streets clean, keeping the litter off the ground, talking to your neighbors, adding order to it. Also inside, there's a number of things you can do to increase the perceived safety of it. But you guys pretty much can understand that part of it. Address safety issues will make a place rentable. And picking a niche instead of Craigslist people, or instead of just anyone off of Airbnb, you kind of focus on um, who's coming to town and customizing your unit around that. Even if it's people, if you're on a popular motorcycle route, you can customize your rental around that. People who are on bike paths or bikes, cyclists like to drive by, they customize their units around that. A simple bike repair rack, a stand, will take care of that. Make your property in demand. That's just like a $700 thing. And the terms, you're being flexible with your terms, how many dogs you allow, horses you allow, animals, or you know, adjusting, allowing smoking in certain areas, and different things like that. Flexing your terms will make you stand out, so that people will greatly prefer to stay with you versus staying at a cookie cutter type of hotel, motel. So it's really not, can you rent your place? Absolutely. It's how much can you get for it. Here's a place I stayed in, St. Louis. I like to travel around, and whenever I'm giving a talk, oh, I'm sharing too much, I stay at an Airbnb and talk to the host and interview them. I'm going to be doing more traveling now that I'm kind of shifting into full-time rental investor and blogger. I'm going to be traveling around and investigating and reporting back to you guys what I learned, and hopefully some videos too. I'm trying to get into that. So this is a warehouse in St. Louis, in an area where there's nothing but abandoned warehouse after warehouse after warehouse. Whole just deserted area. This guy focuses on bachelor and bachelorette parties on weekends. People come in. There's four floors, and he puts a party on each floor, and people understand that they need to stay there overnight, and he rents by the bed. He has not bunk beds, but comfortable beds all over. So maybe it's like 15, 20 people he charges per head, and he makes about $600,000 per year doing this. You can see he used all reclaimed lumber, and he's donated artwork. Sorry about my thing in a way. And he does a beautiful job. A beautiful job. I stay with him during the week. Sometimes he rents to travelers during the week, but he really only works on weekends or gears up for his weekend parties. So again, an abandoned warehouse, he's turning it into something that's allowing him to retire and revitalizing the area. The hamburger place down the street loves it. This place is along Route 66 in Oklahoma. I stayed here. He fashions himself as the Bamboo Inn, and he does a great job branding that. He's just in a regular neighborhood, a regular house in a regular neighborhood. He put this cottage behind him, and he obviously enjoys gardening. He's done a beautiful job. And inside, again, everything's from IKEA. He's just paid attention to his color wheel and got some nice colors. And he just brands himself off of being part of Route 66. So people coming from China, from Korea, and all those people who want to travel the whole Route 66, of course, he's a destination spot now. So he's done a wonderful job for himself. Again, it's not can it rent, it's what it rents for. Now, Connie and Paul, they're in Kansas, Wakarusa, Kansas, and they've been involved with Horse Motel, housing people traveling with horses for the past 10 years. And I met them, I think, in Indianapolis. I was giving a talk in Indianapolis. And they got my course, and I started coaching them. As you can see, in Horse Motel, there's no photos. People don't have to put photos up. It's kind of a small community that if you didn't have horses, you wouldn't know about. And that's the point of me showing you this slide. There are so many economies swirling around wherever you are. But if you're not part of that group, you wouldn't know about all the things going on. So that's what's going on here. Horse motel, people traveling with horses, and they're business travelers. There's a lot of race horses, and their crews, they travel with their grandparents and everything. All these families travel with their horses, even if you're on the 4-H circuit, you're traveling with animals. And they have a ranch, so they can do that. So I help them with their pictures, help them get professional pictures, and then we got their captions and getting it ready for Airbnb. And they went live and they got booked 30 days straight the first night. Uh-oh, I need water here. And I was saying, well, what happened? Usually they book up a couple times a month, but now their little studio they have booked for 30 days straight. Like, what happened? So we looked into it, and there they are in Wakarusa in Kansas on the west side of Route 75. And what happened was in 2015, Mars Chocolate built a factory on the other side of the freeway, and they forgot about that. But when they went on to Airbnb, all of a sudden the corporate people, the quality control managers and things realized that they were down the street. So now they have a great clientele, and they're set up there to build out their own little niche and business service directly with that factory. But they get a lot of, now that they're on Airbnb, they get people traveling for wine tasting, riding their bikes down that road there, lots of different weddings and all kinds of things. So they're a super host too, and they are booked all the time. Big profit center for them. It's not, you can rent anything on Airbnb nearly. You can rent this is the famous 1-meter box. The 1-meter house, excuse me, it rents for $11 a day in Berlin. You can build a box and rent it out. So throw it up on Airbnb. You can rent out a hammock. This guy's really monetizing his view there with the hammock set out. So again, look at your place. It can rent, and you can make 2 times the income. It's right there for you. Let's go over the secrets again. Is you can operate housing vending machines. You guys know what a vending machine is, and I think you would like to operate one. I definitely do. Just take care of letting themselves in. Make sure you have your systems in place. It takes time to build a pipeline. It's easy to carry buckets of water, but if you want to build a pipeline, you got to do some planning. And I can help you with that. And it's easy to double. If you have deferred maintenance or if you have cash flow problems regarding your rental property, you just stop doing the traditional rentals. There's many other different things you can do besides traditional rentals. And definitely short stays and month-to-month rentals, even just furnishing your place will bring more value. Okay, and secret number 3 is how much can I get from my place? That's really the question, to see if it's worthwhile for you. Okay, was that helpful for anyone? Those 3 things? Let's see some hands. All right, great. I want to make sure, do you guys think you can do it? Do you think you can, I want to make sure I gave you enough information so that you could go out and do it. Perfect. All right. I want you guys to be able to know the building blocks so that you can go out and do that. Okay? All right. Now, I've been doing this, my first round or first version of Airbnb for Landlords, my course, since 2000, I started in 2015 when Airbnb came out with its business travel ready designation so that you can attract just business travelers who are the people I want. Tourists kind of want to spend time with you. Business travelers don't want to see you. they don't want to spend any time with you, they're perfect for us landlords. In fact, if you want business travel designation, you can't live on the property. You can't share the rental with them. It's not like you can rent them your guest room. These are professional people that aren't involved in gunfights. You can focus just on them and exclude everyone else. Okay? So that's what I recommend that you do. These people are looking for extended stays, and a lot more success stories what I'm sharing with you. I'm trying to share with you. Keep going on with that, but I got to ask you at this point, will you be my next success story? That's really what it is. Are you guys ready to make a shift, at least with one of your properties? If you have multiple properties, at least one of them stick a toe in the water. And if you have a multifamily, then for sure, you're not going to be able to discover the hidden economy that's swirling around you until you get into the short stay market, where you can find out who's looking for your place, and your rental becomes a big solution to someone who has a corporate housing allowance. So I'm going to share with you with the new Airbnb for Landlords 2.0. Hopefully I've given you guys enough steps so you don't mind. You guys, anyone mind if I share these tools that you're going to, these are the things you need if you're going to do short-term rentals. You don't need to get them from me, of course. You can build them yourself, but I just want to tell you what they are. You guys okay with that? Someone show me some hands. You okay if I share that with you? Let me see what you guys are saying. Let's see what the hand says. Okay. All right. I will then. I want to make sure I gave you enough. I don't want to tease you. I appreciate your time. I want to make sure I gave you enough details. So these are the building blocks you need. And I can tell you that because I've been staying at different Airbnbs since 2011, all over the United States, all through San Francisco and Northern California. So I know what it's like to be a guest. I know what it's like to be scared because you're not used to the neighborhood or where that sound is coming from. I know what that's like. So this is the things you need. Let me get my clicker back on here. Bear with me. There we go. Okay. Now, a strategy guide means, for me, my strategy guide is all about business travelers, so that you don't deal with tourists. You don't deal with people getting in gunfights. Okay? You're not dealing with, let the people who are sharing their homes deal with all those people who are doing night-to-night stays or weekend stays. There's no profit in that for a landlord to be in that business. A landlord should not be in, a landlord who's trying to make more money than a traditional landlord, a housing service provider. If you want to make margin, if you want to make more money than a traditional landlord, you should not be doing nightly and weekend stays. Okay? So that's the strategy, and my strategy guide is all about that, and I kind of went over with you now of that you should be aiming for the extended stay market. And I have a module that helps you understand how to analyze your market, so you know if you should go or pursue this or not. One of those hints is if you have an extended stay America or something like that in your neighborhood. If you do, then you know that corporation has spent millions, maybe not millions, but hundreds, maybe 100,000 on doing market research. Now, if they came to the conclusion that your neighborhood can support a extended stay, then that's some pretty good information that you can take action on. You should come to the same conclusion. Okay. This is Christine. She's in Ohio. She's in a small northern part, North Ohio. She says she's been a landlord and purchased many courses over a decade, but the the support level that Al gives his students are second to none, and that is true. I will call you on a Saturday without you calling me just to check on how you're doing. And he knows how to read the market, how to price things. I like this. She calls me the Alice to Airbnb what Tony Robbins is to inspirational change. I'll take that. Anytime I get mentioned with Tony Robbins, it's a good thing. Okay, so the strategy guide really helping you get your head straight so you stop thinking like a landlord and start thinking like a short-term rental provider so you can see the difference, and also how to analyze your market and just a general overview of the industry. You need to do those things, and I guess you could spend a few weeks surfing the internet and reading books. They kind of come up with that, or my course is definitely a shortcut. Now my workbook has welcome letters, templates for informational guides, worksheets to help you figure out where your break-even is, and all these analytics to help you come up, worksheets to help you determine what's your minimum, how many minimum nights that you need to set before you're going to make a profit, so that you don't set your bookings for less than that. A lot of people don't account for the time it takes them to clean. A lot of owners, short-term rental providers, they do their own cleaning and they don't pay themselves for that, or they don't think about that. And they spend a lot of time carrying luggage and catering after their guests, and they don't really consider that time, but they just want to tell you about their gross income. So I'm looking at your net, and I'm only thinking about making margin. So the workbook is all about how to make margin, how to make more money than a traditional landlord, how to do the math, because it's really a business. It's not a hobby. The people sharing their homes, that's kind of a hobby because they're offsetting their personal expenses. Landlords, we're all about, we have to make money. We got to make more money than a traditional landlord, or doing work for the same pay. That doesn't make any sense at all. And also, you can burn out. You can burn out in 2 years, which most people do. They burn out in 2 years because they're carrying buckets of water. They haven't bothered to get their systems in place. So the workbook, what I'm trying to share with you is the workbook has those systems so that you can literally just change the name of the city that you're in, and you have a great guide ready to go. I give you a video of how to what I do to let people let themselves in, my systems, and also what my experimental rental looked like when I just turned it over to short-term rentals to Airbnb. So I wanted to show you guys that at that stage. I'm going to take another video if the thing's ever empty. I'm always booked up, but it's much different now. I've reinvested some money back into it, and it's all decorated now, but it wasn't when I started. So it's important for you to see that you should focus on utility first. You focus on utility, then artwork, and then making it pretty. But make sure it's safe and it's highly functional first. That's what and I have some ninja tricks that I show you in the video what to do. This is Kia. It's a video which doesn't come out very well on GoToMeeting, but she's happy about the work I did for her. Her place is kind of just outside the ghetto. You have to drive through a rough part of town before you see her place. She did a nice job decorating her place, and it's nice. It's in a safe neighborhood, but people's expectations needed to be adjusted. So we created 10 different titles for her Airbnb listing, and we took a poll on BiggerPockets, and we ended up with it was urban oasis, so that it set people's mindsets that they're going to have to go through a rough neighborhood, but when they get there, it's an oasis. So that's really been working for her. Okay, this review strategy guide, kind of get your mindset right. an overview just so you can, a module is kind of a video of how to analyze your market. Workbook, definitely 85, save you a week of trying to dig through things and type up your own welcome letter and try to figure out what should be in a guest manual. A video tour, all kinds of great tips in there, also keeping you from buying a whole bunch of stuff that you don't really need to get started. And unlimited email support. Now this is really important because Airbnb is fast to get a hold of people who are guests, people who are using the site. That's who's paying Airbnb the biggest amount. But they're slow to get back to host. So if you're a guest, you're going to get fast treatment. If you're a host, it's going to be slow. So if you have a question, they're going to try to refer you to their community to get to a forum to get your answers. So that's why I provide unlimited email support, so I can get back to you fast. If any of you have ever sent me an email, you probably noticed I got back to you pretty quickly. That's what I do. I know you want to answer right away from a human. You want to do business human to human, so that's why I put in unlimited email support to answer your questions quick. And 15 lessons comes with it. There's all kinds of details when you get involved with short-term rentals that you need to learn about, well, what's the difference between the fair housing law and what I can do as a short-term rental provider. You need to know that. You need to know how to reject people, who you should turn down, on what basis, what ground, what's a good reason to turn people down. And that's what these lessons are about. And I travel around, I stay at different Airbnbs, and I'm always learning. So I learn something, I write up a new lesson, I send it out to all those students who I call clients. So it's going to be ongoing as well. So that's a $250 value. Now, that's pretty good, right? But you think you need anything else? That's enough to get going for sure. But you might be concerned about your vacancies, or about marketing. Most people are. So I came up with a marketing module to really help you understand that there's about 40 different websites. Some of them will match your situation and some of them won't, but 40 different things similar to Airbnb that you should be listed on. If you are coming from Australia, there's different, they're coming to the United States, coming to your place, you're favoring Airbnb and maybe some other websites. So it's good to be on a lot of websites so you have a lot of exposure so that you have a lot of demand for your property and you don't have a lot of vacancies. Does that make sense? But that makes sense. To see some hands if that made sense. You guys with me? Anyone fall asleep on me? Okay, I got some hands. Yes, good. All right, good. All right, so you want to be on a lot of websites, but the problem with that is if you get a booking from website Z, well, that needs to update website A. That's the problem why people don't want to, becomes a nightmare trying to update all the sites. So I have another module that teaches you how to sync all the calendars together, automate everything. So if a booking comes in from, let's say, TripAdvisor, well, and it's between the month of June, well, if you accept that, then that goes to your, it automatically syncs up with your Airbnb calendar and blocks out the month of June so that you don't have to worry about updating it, and also you don't get any double bookings, because that's a nightmare. We have overlapping bookings and you have to figure that out. That's stressful. So that's going to be my first bonus I'm throwing in. I'm throwing that in. It's a $500 value. It should eliminate your stress about not being able to find someone and having a bunch of vacancies, because you'll have, seriously worldwide exposure. We're becoming a worldwide business, right? That's our goal. Guys, I like bonuses. You guys like bonuses? Let me give you another one. Rental arbitrage. Remember we talked about that? how Angelo, he invested 5,000 and he's getting $1,000 a month? Is that, you guys think that's valuable information? Can anyone do the math on that type of return? Jay, Jay does the same thing. The 33-year-old fellow who I talked about, he's traveling the world. He rents traveling nurses, and he rents a place from a guy he networked from, and he turns it around, furnishes it, and turns around and markets it, and rents it out for more. That's rental arbitrage. I like to say arbitrage instead of subletting because you're kind of adding value. It's not like you get a piece of wood from Canada and you turn around and you sell the same piece of wood. But if you, for something higher, it's really you grab a piece of wood from Canada and you do some carvings and add value to it, and then you sell it out for more. So the arbitrage, you're really adding value and you're going into a different market. You're taking it from one market, which is long-term traditional landlording, the least profitable thing you can possibly do besides leave your place vacant. And you're offering something, a greater value to a different market, people looking for hotels. Okay? That's what rental arbitrage is. You guys like that? I'm going to give you, it's going to be a bunch of case studies, some videos, interviews with people who are doing it. We just had a great conversation on Saturday. I got everyone together. That's kind of in the VIP niche rental group, and we shared best practices about rental arbitrage. It was really good. Came up with some good scripts. So I'm including those scripts of what to say to people to get them to let you arbitrage their unit, and along with these interviews. So it's a whole module on that. You'll be able to get up and going. Also, I'm including 2 hours of consultation, up to 2 hours, directly with me, and I'm going to let you leverage my network just to make sure that there's nothing slowing you down. If you have a problem, most likely I've seen it, and I can help you with that and get you going fast. So these are up to 2 hours of consultations with me directly to go make sure you get up and going fast. So those are bonuses as well. I'm about $1,000 an hour, and I'm giving you a 30-day money-back guarantee. This is no questions asked. Okay, you're gonna get everything with the course. You can look it over for 30 days. In 29 days, send me an email. You didn't give me the service I was looking for, or I changed my mind. This is not worth it. And I'm hoping that you would take action. But even if you didn't, you can completely burn me. I'm exposed wide open. 30-day money-back guarantee, okay? So let's go over, let's recap what I'm saying. Strategy guide, $80 value, absolutely. Get your mindset right. An overview to help you analyze your market quickly so you don't have to spend 2 weeks on Bigger Pockets asking questions. A workbook so that you have templates, a welcome letter ready to go. You have scripts to make sure that you get 5-star reviews. What to say to people. You have a guest manual, everything, and also some ninja stuff I don't want to share with you. All that ready to go. You just change the street name and fill in the blanks, and you're ready to go. A video tour so that you can see how everything comes together, how people can let themselves in and have a good experience. Unlimited email support, so I get back to you right away as much as I can. That's why I don't leave these courses open indefinitely. I want to make sure I can give the service and get people up and going. 15 lessons to make you start off like you're a seasoned provider, so you don't have a bunch of newbie mistakes. That marketing and calendar sync so that you can hedge against vacancies and make sure you have a lot of exposure. Now, real quick about this marketing calendar thing, I put together a module so that you can have someone else do the work so that you don't do it yourself. There's enough detail so that someone else can put you. I also give you a list of websites that you should post on. So you take the same photos, the same thing that you said, and you do it again 30 times. Just have someone else do that. I'm going to share with you my virtual assistant who will do all that for you. We can talk about that later. But that's the power of that. You do it once and it's done. A rental arbitrage, you know, for me and my business partner, we're aiming for $500 per unit per month. Okay, and it's going to cost us about $3,000 to set up per unit, furnish something. But then, with $500 per month arbitrage per unit. 2 hours of consultation, and I'll help you. I'll leverage my network and also brainstorm with you. So adding all that up, it's a real world value of $5,710. Okay. Now, of course I'm going to give you a discount, but if all we end up doing for $5,710 is getting you to the position where your rental can buy more rentals for you, then it would be worth it, right? It's not that much money. If you can get in a position where your rentals are buying rentals for you, not much at all. And if it could give you some room so that you can go on more family vacations and spend time with your people you love, which it will. It definitely does. That's how I'm phasing out of my engineering job and doing more things I'm more passionate about. It will. You can finally get ahead of your bills. And if it's just making that investment, if all it did was help you find a shortcut to financial freedom so that now you're getting at least twice as much out of the same rental, then you wouldn't need to buy so many rentals to get to your financial freedom. So if all it did was get you those things, then definitely that $5,000, $5,710 is not that much. But so I absolutely feel it's worth it. But I'm going to do something for you guys. So with that guarantee, again, 30 days to look it over. I want to make sure you know that you can totally burn me if you want to totally burn me. I'll leave it up to you, no questions asked, for $497. Okay? Now, the catch is that this offer is only good till Saturday, May 13th. All right? Because I got to see how many people. I can't service everybody, so I'm going to slow it down before I offer this again. But so how do you get it? You go to airbnblandlord.com, airbnblandlord.com, and you press that red button that says, yes, I'm ready to be more profitable. And then it'll take you to a place where you can enter your credit card information. After you do that, it gives you access to all of the digital products. Okay, so airbnblandlord.com. Now you may want to take a screenshot of this. This is how you can access the top 10 ways to reduce your rental expenses. Thank you all for staying with me. To wrap it up again, so the value is $5,710, and we're coming in about a tenth of that with a guarantee, $497. Okay, let's do some questions. I'm going to open the floor up. Let's see if I can do this right. To questions, and I have a list of questions we can go over as well. But let's see if I can open that. Uh-oh, did I lose it? Hang on a second here. I gotta find my question box. Let's see. Oh, here it is. Okay, let me expand this thing. All right. You guys can chat with me, ask me some questions. I'll be happy to answer them. There's a little time delay, so I'll be looking for that. And if you don't have any questions, you can always raise your hand. If you don't have any questions, I can go into the questions as well. Let's see here. We had some earlier. Let's see if I can. Are you mixing special needs? Let's see if I can get this box open up here more. I have problems with this. Okay, are you mixing special need rentals with short-term rentals? Now, special needs is a niche inside of short-term rentals. Okay? I had a drink there. Now, special needs could be veterans. It could be people with that are staying for medical treatments at the local hospital. It could be the families of those people. It could be people with handicaps. All those things a lot of them are supported by the government, and a lot of them aren't. There's a lot of for-profit type of things, or just regular people. So I hope that answers your question. It's a very broad. Special needs and short-term rentals can be the same thing. There's some long-term special needs. Those aren't the people I'm talking about. I'm talking about people who need short-term help. Just note, you can. You can't lose. You can't lose. Oh, I got a typo. Thank you. I'll go find that. Let's see. I gotta find a way to shrink my box so that I can get more questions in. I'm just not able to do that. Let's see if I can move it up here. Okay. Hey, let's go and ask some other questions here. You guys email me with your questions too. I'll be happy to get them. Let's go over some of the most popular questions. One of them is, do you need additional insurance? And I say, absolutely you do. You do need additional insurance if you are doing less than 30 days. If you're doing more than 30 days, then you're a traditional landlord. You're doing month-to-month landlording, and your insurance policy will cover you. If your place gets thrashed, then that's a whole different thing. Airbnb will cover you up to $1 million. So you got that. But if someone's staying for a weekend and they plug in something and it electrocutes them or shocks them, then you would go to your landlord policy and they would say, oh, that's not a tenant, that's a guest. That's less than 30 days, and you'd be on your own. So you do need gap insurance if you're going to operate less than 30 days. That's another reason that I focus on month-to-month rentals. Do you offer a payment plan? This is regarding the course. Yes, I do. Just send me an email, and we'll set up a payment plan over 4 months with PayPal. We can definitely do that. And do you know if it's legal? It's different. Legality of it's in different cities. Some of them have it up to 3 months as far as you're considered transient unless you're there for 3 months. So in that case, traveling nurses and consultants will work for you. Also, let me point out that if you have regulations in your city, that means you are in a terrific short-term market. That's what it means. And all you have to do is find the loopholes and work the loopholes, but you are in a tremendous short-term rental market if there's a regulation for it. All you do is you don't give up. You just customize and develop your niche and work it, of course, legally. Like I only do things 30 days and more, and that's the legal way. I don't pay any lodging tax. And in fact, it still gives me the advantage. Okay, what if I don't get bookings? That's a big fear, and that should go away if you are on 10 websites. If you have an extended stay in your neighborhood and you are on 10 and 12 websites, we get you all linked up, then you have just as much exposure as them, but you're more affordable than them, and you're more attractive as far as a homeliness, being home and comforting than them. So you definitely, if you set up right and go through that module, um, you should stay booked. Or you should, even if you have a gap, you still should make quite a bit more money than a traditional landlord. Okay, so I think that's it, unless I see any more questions come through. Again, it's Airbnb, there's strategy guide, overview, workbook, a video startup, and unlimited email support. You guys can always email me. Marketing and calendar sync. Some people say this is more valuable than the entire course itself. And rental arbitrage, geez, next month I'll make $1,000 off of a $10,000 investment, and we'll keep going from there. So we should be doing pretty well. It won't be $10,000 investment, but it'll be furnishings. A 2-hour consulting package with me and all my network, so 5,710. And again, until Saturday, midnight Saturday, I'll give you some time to think about it, ask me questions. But midnight Saturday, this is when this expires. I got a question here. Let me get this. Ah, nice, and I got it. Nice to see. Let's see who asked what. Yes, please. How does your program compare to niche rentals? Great. This is equivalent, almost equivalent to the Rentalpreneur package. It doesn't have all the bonuses the Rentalpreneur package has, but I think it has more consulting time than the Rentalpreneur, but it's missing some of the the travel nurse module and the peer-to-peer dormitory modules. Is missing those, and also the focus, the emphasis of this course is just to get you into the short-term market, whereas niche rentals is all about getting into the short-term rental and going all the way to finding who you're going to focus on, and then contacting their HR department, getting their finding out how they want their receipts done, and finding out what billing codes they have, and just really drilling down and becoming the go-to person, which is probably the most lucrative thing you can do. So this is a step towards that. And niche rentals, I think we're going to open that up next quarter or in a few months after trying to get success stories now. We're trying to get everyone up and going, those people who took advantage of that offer, and get them I want them to be successful so they can tell you guys about it. That's the whole goal. That's my not my evil plan. My plan is to get to success stories, to do what I need to do to make people successful so that they tell other people. Let's see. Are you focused solely on short-term rentals now? No, I have 3 out of my 8 units. I have 3 that are affordable housing for people who are good people. One person, not that they're good people, it's that they're a blessing to the neighborhood. One fellow does nonprofit work for struggling schools. He tutors them. So I have him stay at a discounted rate. Another lady, she grew up in the neighborhood, and I just don't want to displace her. So she's got a discounted rate. And I have a 3rd unit that, I'm just a lousy business person. I just wanted to create another affordable spot for somebody. But in my if I displaced all those people, then I'm essentially retired because there's plenty enough to cover my expenses, take care of my family, save for college and everything. Just with one apartment building, that's the power of this thing. But I'm doing just fine, so I want to make sure that I have some affordable housing. Terrible business person. Let's see, another question is, would it be a good idea to start with this program and wait for the niche rentals to come out? Reggie, I remember you from that. Let's talk about that offline. We'll see if we can hook you up, what we can do. we talked about some ideas before, but you know, there's an opportunity cost for waiting. You shouldn't wait on these things. You, I mean, literally, the traditional landlords are losing a lot of opportunity. That's why rental arbitrage is just coming on. Rental arbitrage is just taking off for entrepreneurs who see that as already the market's already up and going. It's really very little risk to go. So if you want to make money, just get up and going. Just do the thing. There's two payment plans. One of them is, you know, it's what PayPal's. They give you up to 6 months with no payments. So literally, you could get up and going and make all the money back for this course a couple of times before you had your first payment. And that shouldn't be too hard to do. That shouldn't be too hard to do at all. Okay, I think I got those. Any more questions? I love questions. You can, I'm going to shrink this down. Click on this. Again, you just need to go to airbnblandlord.com, press that red button, enter your card information, and just download all those files there. And you'll be up and going with the 30-day guarantee, okay? Now, if you have questions even after this, you just email me, al@leadinglandlord.com, and I'll get right back to you. So if you want to think things over, go ahead, do that. You got till Saturday at midnight. Okay, I think that's it. Ah, there's me dancing. This is at my block party that I have every year. I hired a aerobics instructor there. You can see her with the microphone on the left. She's a Zumba instructor, so I was dancing and embarrassing my daughter. So that's coming up. National Night Out's coming up the first Tuesday in August. I hope you guys do something. It's definitely been something to change my neighborhood. All right, thanks everyone. Let me know if you have any questions. Let's see if I can turn this off.